Chapter 4. Blood Between Sisters. Malia always had a way of moving through a room like a ghost, silent, calculated, unsettling. She was once the sister I'd chosen. A bond born from shared secrets and firelit nights. We survived the same wars, cried over the same heartbreaks, and believed we would grow old together. Now, she was hunting me. Kale's warning hadn't left my mind. Every crack of the forest, every rustling wind, I feared would carry her scent. On the third night in the rogue village, I felt it, her presence. It started with the silence. No dogs barking. No guards laughing by the fire. Just stillness. I was in Kale's cottage, sharpening the blade I'd kept hidden in the lining of my boot. My wolf stirred, tense. She's here. I stepped outside into the night air. Then I saw her. She stood just beyond the torchlight, wrapped in a cloak of midnight, her silver hair glowing like a halo under the moonlight. "Hello, Serena." Her voice hadn't changed. Smooth. Calm. Deceptive. "Malia." She stepped forward, stopping a few feet away. "You've changed." "So have you." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You mean before or after you married Rowan behind my back?" Her expression darkened. "He chose me." I laughed bitterly. "He didn't even want you until he thought I was gone." She stiffened. "You abandoned him." "No. He sent me to die. You just made sure he didn't wait for me to come back." Malia moved closer, but Kale emerged from the shadows then, a crossbow aimed at her chest. "Don't," he warned. She glanced at him with mild interest. "Still hiding behind rogues, Serena?" "She's not hiding," Kale said. "She's surviving. There's a difference. I'm not here to kill her." Malia's gaze flicked back to me. "I came to offer you a choice." I scoffed. "You think I'd believe anything from your lips?" She held out a parchment, an official seal burned into the wax. "A pardon," she said. "From Rowan. Come back. Raise the child in the estate. He wants peace." "He wants control," I spat. Malia stepped closer, her eyes suddenly soft. "I know you don't trust me. But this is bigger than us, Serena. The council is watching. If they find out Rowan has a mate in exile carrying his heir, they'll remove him. Do you understand what that means?" I paused. "War," she whispered. "Another war." My heart pounded. Kale growled low. "Convenient, isn't it? How you always show up when your survival depends on her return." Malia ignored him. "Please, Serena. Think of the child." I stared at her for a long time, then stepped forward and took the scroll. "I'll think about it." She nodded once. "You have 7 days." And just like that, she disappeared into the trees. Inside the cottage, Kale shut the door with more force than necessary. "She's lying," he said. "It's a trap." "Maybe. You're not actually considering it." I set the scroll on the table, running a hand through my hair. "If I stay, the council sends hunters. If I go, I walk into a palace full of enemies." Kale leaned close. "You don't have to go alone." I met his eyes. He took my hand gently, then pulled it to his chest. "You saved me, Serena. Let me return the favor." My heart stumbled. Kale had always been there, in the background, never demanding, never pushing. But in this moment, he wasn't a rogue. He was a man offering me a way out. I looked at our hands. "I need time," I whispered. "You have it," he replied. I spent that night staring at the parchment, the seal, the weight of the future pressing against my womb. The moon was full. My wolf wanted blood. My heart wanted peace. But peace didn't come without sacrifice. Chapter 5. Beneath the Alpha's Roof. The journey back to the capital was suffocating. I traveled under cover of night with Kale by my side, cloaked and silent, traversing the frozen ridges and mist-covered valleys that once belonged to my pack. Each step closer to the estate reminded me of the ghosts I'd left behind. Of Rowan. Of betrayal. Of love twisted into something dangerous. Kale rode ahead sometimes, scouting the path, his presence grounding. We didn't speak much, not because there wasn't anything to say, but because we both knew the words would cost us more than we were ready to pay. When the palace walls finally loomed before us, rising like cold steel fingers through the trees, I tasted ash on my tongue. The guards recognized me instantly, though they pretended not to. They led us through the rear gate, past the servants' quarters, toward the guest wing, my new place, far from the main hall. It wasn't exile, but it wasn't welcome either. "Don't trust anyone," Cale whispered as we stepped inside. "I never do." He touched my arm once, gently, then disappeared into the shadows. I was alone again. The guest room was luxurious, far grander than anything I'd seen in the Rogue territories. Golden trim lined the mahogany bedposts, silken curtains framed a moonlit balcony, and a single vase of blood roses sat on the writing desk. A note rested beneath it. "You shouldn't have come back." It wasn't signed, but I didn't need a signature. "Malia." The door creaked open. I turned. Rowan stood there, his broad frame filling the doorway, eyes sharp and stormy as ever. "You're here," he said, voice barely a whisper. "You sent for me." He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "I wasn't sure you'd come." "I didn't come for you." His gaze dropped to my stomach. A flicker of something crossed his face. Pain? Hope? Regret? "I've made mistakes, Serena." I laughed bitterly. "Mistakes? That's what you call it. I thought you were dead." Malia said. "Malia lies." He moved closer. I didn't flinch. I wouldn't give him that satisfaction. "Is it mine?" he asked. I didn't answer. His jaw clenched. "I deserve to know. You deserve the consequences of what you did." He took another step. I backed away. "You sent me to the border patrol alone, knowing it was cursed territory. You promised. I was trying to protect. You sent me to die." I snapped. "And then you married my sister." His silence was a confession. "You don't get to play victim now," I said, my voice trembling. "You don't get redemption just because I lived." Rowan looked broken, like a god fallen from his own altar. But I had no sympathy left. "I won't stay here long," I continued. "The council needs to see me alive. That's all." He nodded slowly. "And after that?" "I leave." "And the child?" I met his gaze coldly. "Will not be your heir." His hand twitched, but he didn't reach for me. "I'll see to your protection," he said. "I don't want your protection." He hesitated. "Do you still dream of me?" The question took me off guard. "No," I lied. He smiled faintly. "I do." And then he left. The days that followed were quiet. The council arrived. They questioned me about my exile, my survival, my allegiance. I gave them only what they needed. No more, no less. Malia never came to my room again. But I saw her across the great hall once, draped in emerald silk, her expression unreadable. She had everything she'd once envied, the title, the throne, the man. But she didn't have peace. Cale sent word from the village. The rogues were stirring. Rumors were spreading. Not everyone wanted Rowan's reign to continue. And then one night, I found a bloodied note beneath my pillow. "Leave now, or the child dies." Chapter 6. Fangs Beneath the Crown. The moment I read the blood-stained note, I knew it was real. Malia had crossed a line. Threatening me was one thing. Threatening my unborn child was war. I held the parchment with trembling hands, the dried crimson smearing beneath my fingers as I reread the scrawl. No signature. No crest. But the message was unmistakable. They were going to kill my child. And it wouldn't be a quiet betrayal this time. That night, I didn't sleep. I paced the marble floors of the guest chamber until dawn threatened the sky. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined tiny fingers, wide eyes, the soft flutter of a heartbeat I'd grown to love with every breath. When the sun rose, I made a decision. I wouldn't run. I would fight. Cale returned by midday, slipping past the palace guards like a whisper of smoke. He wore rogue leathers and a snarl that could turn blood cold. "They made a move?" he asked, eyes instantly finding the note on the dresser. "They will," I said. "Soon." He stepped forward, hands curling into fists. Then we bring this whole rotten empire down." "No," I whispered. "Not the empire. Just the ones who've infected it." Together we planned. The rogue network still loyal to Kale, those untouched by the Council's gold or Rowan's charm, would infiltrate the lower city during the Moon Festival. Malia would be distracted by her role as Luna. Rowan still had a part to play. I found him in the garden that evening, staring into the koi pond like it could answer the questions gnawing his soul. "You used to come here when you were angry," I said quietly. He didn't look at me. "I still do." I stepped beside him. "Do you still love her?" He turned. "No. But I owe her. She kept the Council from killing me when you disappeared. That's not love. That's leverage." He met my eyes. "I still dream of you, Serena. Of us. I made every wrong choice the day I sent you away. But I'd make the right one now, if you let me." I didn't flinch. "Then choose." "Me." "The child." "The truth." He stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. "I'll protect you. No matter what." The festival was a blur of firelight and fanfare. Music echoed through the stone corridors, masks glittered, dancers swirled in a blur of color. Beneath the chaos, rogues slipped in through tunnels, hidden doors, and servant routes. Kale waited in the observatory, eyes locked on the central hall below. I stood at his side in a gown that shimmered silver, my stomach barely visible beneath the fabric. Then it began. A scream. A crash. Guards rushed into the hall. Malia stood on the grand staircase, her expression twisted in rage. "Traitors!" she cried. "The rogues are here!" She turned, and her eyes locked with mine. I stepped forward, removing the mask from my face. "You brought this on yourself." She snarled. "You were nothing. You still are." And then she lunged. Fangs, claws, fury. She transformed mid-air, a massive silver wolf crashing down toward me. I shifted, fur bursting through skin, muscle stretching, and our bodies collided with a force that shattered columns. We fought beneath the chandeliers, two she-wolves, one fire, one ice. Growls, blood, bone snapping. She pinned me once, teeth grazing my throat. "I always hated you," she hissed. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." I broke free, clawed across her chest, and knocked her into the fountain. Kale and Rowan joined the fray, dispatching guards corrupted by gold. The loyal wolves, rogue and royal alike, fought side by side. When the dust cleared, Malia lay broken at the foot of the dais. She shifted back, gasping. You took everything." "No," I said. "You gave it away." She closed her eyes. "Finish it." But I turned away. "No. Living without power is your punishment." The Council named me Luna the next morning. Rowan stepped down as Alpha, leaving the territory to his brother. He disappeared into the north with nothing but a pack and a promise to redeem himself. Kale stayed. He never asked me to choose. But one night, as we sat under the stars, he whispered, "I don't want to be your protector anymore." I looked at him. "I want to be your home." I kissed him. And that was the beginning of everything. 5 years later. My daughter runs through the palace gardens, silver hair flying like silk. She howls at the sky, and the moon seems to answer her. Kale watches her with pride. I watch them both and smile. Not all stories end in blood. Some end in love. Some begin there. The end.